What's up, folks? Here we go. This is my Dreams PS4, PS5 tutorial on how to use the sneak chip. So, there is not a sneak function built in to the puppets, the default puppets in Dreams, but I made a sneak chip that works really well. I promise you're gonna love it. So, let's get right into it. Here at the menus up at the top, I'm aiming my imp with the motion sensor controller. If you ever need to recenter that bad boy, just hold in the start button right here next to the touchpad on the right. My camera has it on the left because everything's mirrored, but it's on the right and you just hold it and that imp zooms right to the center of the screen. So we'll be aiming it at this character thing here, and this is a puppet. If you need a puppet, which you do need a puppet, here's these buttons at the top, the menus. First I'll turn on my grid, so I'll open the guides here. It's got like the grid with the circle. And then you've got the other grid with the circle button, but it's blue. You want to click that, and then I put it to something a little bit higher, like 4 or 8. But you can do 2 or 1 or whatever, but 4. And then I just circle over those blue buttons while hovering over it with the imp, close it. We can go into this gadgets menu. See, it's got the square with the wires, square, 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 wires connecting them. And then this gray menu, see, each one of these will open up a set of buttons. You click the gray one for gameplay gear, and then there'll be these puppet buttons over here. There's blank puppet deluxe, and then the blank puppet collection. See? So if you do the collection, there's the basic, there's the sliding platforming puppet, and there's the puppet deluxe. And it'll work for any of them, so just to prove that, I'll put them here. But see, you've got that one, and this one. And of course, this one is the same as this one, available straight from here. So this guy, he's like fast and he slides and stuff, so basically each one of these, when you hover over them, they highlight. You hold L1, you press X, you'll get it'll turn gray, you'll get this ring, and you'll get a chip. It'll be like a light blue gray chip. Hold L1 and click X again over that chip, and you get the puppet logic. And so now you can actually view everything that's in this microchip. You hold L1 and circle, just press that a bunch of times anytime you want to get all the way out. You just keep pressing circle to get back to, the outside where you can look at each puppet again. L1 and X again. And now, since we did it to this puppet while we were hovering over there, we got this microchip. So we hold L1 over it and X when we get the other puppet logic. And there will be these rays of light that show you which board hovering in the air represents which puppet. So that way we won't get confused. L1 and circle to get out of there again. L1 and X. L1 and X. And now that's the board for this guy. So we got 3 puppets. We can get 3 chips. So this is very easy to find. Check it out. You just go square, and then you use your magnifying glass here. X. Go to search. X. Search for X again. You want sneak chip. Now, you hit enter with R2 or it'll just come up. Sneak chip V1.4. It might be updated by the time you see this. When you grab it, it'll be hovering, and if you still have the grid on, it'll be snapping to the grid. But that won't matter once you put it over a chip. It'll kind of go into the chip. And if you want the grid to be smaller while you're hovering and doing stuff, by the way, hold L1 and press down on the D-pad. That gets you a smaller grid, so you can kind of move it in more places. If you want stuff like floating around in the air, that's useful for that, which I sometimes do. But that, we can drop it in this chip, and then once we have one in the scene, we can press square again and the magnifying glass to get another one, boop, get another one. But you can also hold L1 and then grab R2, and then that grabs another chip off to the next one. But before we do that, we're going to delete these guys, because as you can see, we'll turn this controller sensor on the force possess. I just did L1 square to open that controller sensor. Go to the imp page, and then force possession, make sure that's on. Play mode, and it'll brighten up when it's on. See the boxes there? Yeah, we've got these instruction boxes from our sneak. So we don't want that. Press start, press the pencil. We're going to delete these straight up. So we just hover over them and press triangle. But they do explain to you exactly what you're doing. So, when we had them outside, it would say, connect the walk speed and run speed gadgets to their corresponding puppet settings. First page when you L1 square on your puppet via the current value outputs. So we L1 and square over our puppet, and there's our current value outputs. It happens to be, well, no, our current value outputs are here. There's the walk speed and run speed. So here in this sneak chip, we pulled it out, but we're going to place it into all three of these chips. In it, there's these things just chilling over here. We want to bring these things over there too. So we hold X and glide over both of them. Walk, run. Grab them with R2. Pull them over here. Put the walk right above the run. And then you just wire this variable up to the walk speed. Wire this variable up to the run speed. And so that is now connected to our first puppet. And now when we copy this chip, those wires won't connect. So you don't have to worry about that. We can assign it to each puppet. And so we read this one, so we don't need that one now. Oh, whoops, I have them kind of backwards. Okay. And then, yeah, here's this variable named sneaking, set up the way you need, just stamp it somewhere accessible in the scene or leave it there, and then use a get modifier, like the one next to it somewhere, in NPC's detection logic to generate a signal that checks if your player is sneaking, yes or no, for toggling an enemy's awareness of your tag controller sensor. So that is referring to this thingy. So it's the gear with the X and the arrow out. It's called the sneak on variable modifier, and it says sneaking in red. You can grab it with R2 and just drag it out of there if you want. So, and then while you're holding it up on the D-pad a bunch, make it really big so you don't lose it. I like to do that. So that will output, you wire this up to something and it'll turn something on or off basically, because it'll be based on whether you're sneaking or not. And you'll see how that's set up. It's a selector right here. So an activate button moves to the next output on the selectors, and there's only A and B. So it'll flip back and forth between A and B. 1 turns your walk speed and run speed. It resets it back to, reset, back to their default value, 1. And then this one changes them to -0.3, and I forget what this one does. With the run speed 0? I don't know. Yeah, 0, so you can't run at all. So that makes sense. So we have these wired up, and that'll work by default already. But we don't have it connected to a button. So we have to make sure we've got this. When we got the controller sensor open with L1 and square, we go into the second tab to grab L3. See? Grab it with R. Hold the D-pad up on the D-pad. Make it big if you need to. Here's L3. See this tab on the right? You just click it with X. You plug that into this purple thing right here, the activate button, and now this L3 is what will make you start sneaking and stop sneaking. Now, I already have a keyframe, so that puppet will make a gesture when he sneaks, but you have to animate that keyframe. So there it is. It's the crouch pose. See, if you just get a, well, actually, no, this one is empty right now. So, yeah, see, you press the L3 and it just slows him down. Press L3 again, speeds him up. Press L3, slows him down. That's how you know that's working. You've wired up the walk speed and the run speed. Now, after that, you need your pose. So, normally, you press L1 and X on that keyframe right there, and this is the point where I'll copy the sneak chip to the other puppets to prove that it works with any kind of puppet. But see, I don't need this keyframe, but I'll need it in these other ones. So I'll copy this and put it here, put one there, copy this, put one there. And then this one will just go into this. So all three puppet logics are ready to go. You just put the sneak chip straight in there. It's pretty simple. Well, with these deluxe ones, you could put them into the controller logic if you want. You can open it one more level and put it in there. That's a little bit more organized. See? Whoop. And again, you got the rays of light telling you, oh, gray to red, that's where that's coming from. That's where that's coming from. You're all good to go. You open your controller sensors to make sure that you're getting this second tab, L3. Grab it, open your sneak chip, activate button, boom, close that. Same thing here. Drag your sneak chip over with R2, and then, oh yeah, I forgot to delete all those things. But yeah, L1 square, second page, L3, L1 and X to open that, activate button, that little purple thing again, plug it straight in there, and then now they're all wired up. And now, see, here's my keyframe. I have my crouch pose ready. See, that's already animated. So these ones I'll do pretty sloppily. So I'll show you how. It's pretty easy peasy. You just held L1 and press X on that crouch pose keyframe. And then you go to the pelvis here, and then it should zoom in for you. I like to turn off the grid at this point. Square, go to guides, X, and then hover over the grid with the circle, X again, turn it off. I go over precise move here, circle with all the arrows, press X on it, and then I go over the pelvis, grab it with R, the R2 trigger, and move it down. See, I grab the feet with R2, move them to the side, move them, forward a little bit, move them backward a little bit if I want, tilt them left a little bit. I'm grabbing with the L2 to do that. I grab with the L2, and then I use the left stick to tilt them. If you want to tilt them like up and down, you could look at them this way and use the right stick. See? Kind of like that. But whatever you want. And I look at it sideways, grab it with L2, tilt it forward, and that's that, L2 and the right sticks, or you can just grab a part like the hand with R2 and just move around with your controller. Two ways to do it. That's how you set a sneak pose. I'm just going to leave this like that, nothing special. And then this guy, I'll animate his. See, that's where he is, because we follow the rays. Boop, boop. We're in this one. Open that sneak chip. There's the animate L1 and X over that keyframe. See, it's called crouch pose. If you hover over it, L1X. And we do the same thing to this guy. Just pull him down a little bit. And then, you know, again, I'm not going to make this too special because we're taking a bit of time. But I think if I'm going to take a little bit of time, at least I'm showing some cool stuff. Okay, yeah, this is fine. I mean, I have no idea. See, if you ever want to de-animate a part, and by the way, you go back with the left D-pad. If you ever make a mistake, just hit left on the D-pad and it'll reverse something. Hit triangle over the part you want to de-animate, and then you can kind of start fresh with your L triggers and your R triggers, however you want to grab stuff. See? Have him kind of, I don't know. Yeah, the short-armed puppet can't really do the whole, you know, sneak thing. That's the pose I have for my basic puppet here. See? The crouch pose, he has like his finger up to his face. So I'll grab that one and I'll replace this keyframe. See? I'll grab it and put it in there. So if you already have a pose done, this is how you do it. And you see where this wire is coming from? Yes, it's coming from B. So we hook up B to this one instead. And then we just delete that other keyframe entirely with triangle. Hover over it, triangle, set that down there. Straighten up your wires if you want. You don't have to, but you know. And there you have it. You know, you've got the crouch, and now we have it auto-possessing this guy. But it'll be working with the keyframes with the other ones, but they won't be slowed down like this one is. That's set up properly in this puppet. He's got the pose and he's slowed down. So that's looking very good so far. So in these two, I'll also go ahead and I'll close this just to make it less confusing here. In these two, I'll go ahead and wire it up the same way. Walk, run. So second puppet, L1 square. First two variables on the first page. It's can't miss it. 1, 2, and that'll get our speed slowing down properly. That's all it takes. You just plug that in. There they are. They originally start up here, so just drag them over. Put walk on top, run on the bottom. L1 square over our third puppet. And of course, you're just going to be setting up one puppet, so you're good to go. Now all of our poses work. So if I turned off force possession in the imp page here, this little button, with this one, and turned it on for our slider puppet instead, most of our stuff would be working here as well. So we turn it on, and we see, here's our slider puppet. That's how he looks when he runs. And we press L3, and now he's in his sneaking pose, and he's slower. And the slowdown is dramatic for this slider puppet. So, pretty interesting. But, so now that's all set up correctly. The last thing to do is in our crouch pose, we're going to animate one last thing in our controller sensor here. So, here's our controller sensors. I'll just unpin them and make them bigger. So see, there's like a button that pins it to screen, which is useful. I just unpin it, hover over it, click X, grab it with R2, hold up on the D-pad, make it larger, bam. Same thing with this one. And yeah, this is a good way to wire up stuff, like methodically, and get it all done sequentially, so you know that you've done it right. Got all our controller sensors. We go over to this camera tab, okay? Camera properties. And we're going to animate the first two sliders in here. Very close attention. This is what it is. In our sneak chips, in our crouch pose frame, you could create a new keyframe altogether. You'd just go to this menu, go to Animate, click X, click keyframe right here. We could do it like this for this one. Put a keyframe there, it's empty. As soon as you place it down, we can animate this. So if you want to get precise, which I do, you can just grab it with X, right, and slide it across to get what you need, which in our case is 30%. But I hold L1 and click square over that slider, then press square 2 times to erase the number that's in there. Put 30 with X, X, go down to that, or hit R2, done. L1 and square over this slider, it's at 3, we put it to 2, R2, or just done. And now what that does is it makes our camera, it drops it down a little bit, and instead of being 3 meters away from the puppet, it pushes it closer. So it's 1 meter closer, it's 2 meters. So now we put this possession back on, take it off from this one. You'll see that our sneak effect is finally complete. So when we run around, we're running at a certain speed, we press L3, then we start sneaking. Oh, actually, I forgot to animate the actual, I forgot to connect it. So if you want to rename it, because if you're going to make it a separate keyframe, you might as well go through the trouble. L1 and square to bring up this menu, and then see, hover over where it says keyframe, hit X, and then you can name it. And we're going to name it zoom, right? Because it's the camera zoom. That's what's contained in this keyframe. That's what we just animated. When we pressed it, we need to wire it up too. So that's all part of B, right? That's when the pose happens, that wire. So we need another wire going to our zoom. And that's how to add it into its own keyframe, if you want to do it that way. So yeah, press start, play mode, you see it zooms in, and when we press L3 again, zooms back out. Now the other ones aren't set up to do this yet, but we see this is a little abrupt, so not exactly what we want. So we'll go back out one last time and make sure that on our zoom keyframe, we hit L1 and square, and we bring this slow power up to 2 seconds. You do the same thing we did earlier. Get it to 2 seconds. And that'll automatically fix that harshness. So there you have it. Sneak effect is complete. And you can add a power up to the pose itself too, but really the smoothing kind of does it for you. As you can see, he's pulling his arm up, you know, the way you would expect. So you're running around fast. As soon as everything goes slow, the camera zooms in, and you're using that sneak pose, right? And then L3 again, you come back out of it, you're fast. L3, you know, back to sneaking. And then it's easy as pie to make the exact same thing work with the other puppets. And see, we'll just keep force possession off for all of them and switch between them to show. See, here we are in the, we'll close the first puppet stuff since we're done with it. Boom. This second puppet stuff, here we are. We'll go to the crouch pose. And right here, L1 and X. L1 square, while we have that animating 30. And it'll give you these hash marks through it to let you know that you're animating it. L1 square, 2, 30, and 2. I find that's the perfect speed slow down from the standard puppet. With this third puppet, it's a different type of puppet, so yeah, it starts at 60 and it starts at 3.5. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll instead with that one do something a little bit different. So, but yeah, when you want to check, just click this with X to highlight it, and you see your sliders move. So that's how you know you done it correctly. L1 and circle to scope out of here. We can close that stuff. Boom. The second puppet's ready. And then this slider puppet, here we go. L1 and X to animate this crouch pose. L1 and square. Boom. We'll go down to like 45, I guess. And then the camera distance, we'll make it like, yeah, 2.4? I don't know. 2.3. I have no idea. And then L1 circle to get out all this stuff. And that's how easy it is. Start, play mode. So see, you can possess any puppet you want. As soon as you hit L3, your pose takes effect, and you slow down. You see, the one thing I forgot to do is make it less abrupt for these guys. But see, it's good to see it abrupt first, because then you know your camera zoom is working. Then you can refine it like we did this guy to get it zooming in nice and slow. And hey, you know, two seconds might be too long. All you have to do, change it, you know, just whenever you're, go to your crouch pose keyframe, if you have it all in one, or your zoom keyframe if you split it. L1 and square to open it. Add that slow power up. You can make it just 1 second if you want. Or you could make it, you know, 3 seconds. You can make it longer than 2 seconds. See in this one, boop, open the sneak chip, L1 square over that crouch pose, boop, 3 second power up. So yeah, we've got the basic one, the orange guy set up for like a moderate speed. This guy's set up fast, and then the slider is set up slow. So that's like medium. I like that. I like a 2 second. And I like that zoom factor too. Let's see with this guy. See, it's faster at 1 second. But it's nice and smooth even at 1 second. So just, you know. And here at 3 seconds, it's going to be very smooth, right? And if you're zooming in more, you want it to be smoother. So that's a really nice sneak effect, in my opinion. Press L3, you're back to running. L3 again, you sneak. So, what about these boxes I said we'd get rid of way back in the beginning? That is finally the actual last thing to do. And that is the easiest thing of all. Now that we know we've followed all of those instructions and used everything from the sneak chip, we've extracted all of its wisdom, we can safely delete those now. So you just open your sneak chip, and there it is. Boom, triangle again. Over the other one. You have to delete them both. There's 2 of them. So I put them in the controller logic. If you didn't put them in the puppet logic, you gotta open this chip again. L1 and X to open these chips. And then, boop, triangle over the text displayer. It's pink. And then, we already did it here. I think so. Oh. Yeah. We should be good. Whoop. One more. Boop. There we go. Perfect. And now you're all set. And you can space these guys out a little bit, just so it's not ultra confusing. think if you want, you can turn off the little follow chip, and then they won't all be following each other like crazy. This follow behavior right here, L1 and square to open this, and then this little power button, just click it with X. I think that might stop that. And this one doesn't have any, so you don't have to worry about it for the orange one. Press start, press the play mode, and now you've got, yeah, all three puppets. They'll just stand wherever they are idle. You hover over one, you hit R2, you're possessing it. You hit your magic button that you use for the sneak, and you get your L3, you get your zoom, you get your pose, and you get your slow down, right? You press L3 again, you get the back out of it. L3, zoom, pose, slow down. You back out with L3, or you don't back out with L3. You stay sneaking, and you hit circle to depossess, and he stays in his pose. And then you possess another one, right? You run around with him. You press L3, now you're sneaking. Now, these variables will conflict with each other though. So, you're going to have to rename it, you know, sneaking 1, sneaking 2, sneaking 3 for each puppet, right? Like so. In order to use the variables in a game, right? So open that L1X. And there it is, it's right there. So sneaking, L1 and square. All you do, hover where it says sneaking, press X. Add a 1 to the end or something. R2. That's it. And then where it says sneaking here, press L1 square. And then hover over this little box when you open this this one that's connected to B. It's a variable modifier. It says sneaking, L1 square. Hover over the box. Hit the up and down on the D-pad until you get sneaking 1. There. Now this is hooked up properly. Sneaking 1, sneaking 1. And then this one, you'll just call it 2, right? Sneaking. You don't do this one first because it won't be there. You do this one. L1 square. Add the 2. Just click X while hovering over it. And then L1 square over here. Sneaking 2. Just, again, L1 square. Up and down on the D-pad to switch while hovering over that box. Ooh. Drink. Same thing on the last one. Open it. See? Sneaking. You want sneaking 3. You could have just did sneaking, sneaking 1, sneaking 2. But, you know, all consistent. And if you did it properly, you can troubleshoot on your last one. When you flip up and down through the boxes, go extra and see if you see sneaking again. See, we still see it for some reason. It should be pretty much gone. Oh yeah, I brought this one out here, right? That's why. So we use this one, go over the box to sneaking 1, close it. Now, when we're looking in any of them, we won't see sneaking again. That's how we know we did it right. We renamed all of them. Go straight to run speed. Run speed, sneaking 1, 2, 3. And this one is associated with 3. That one 2, and that one 1. So now all of those variables would be working in a game. If you wanted to wire it up, you just have to have another variable modifier. Have this one set to sneaking 2. This one set to sneaking 3. And bam. These are get variable modifiers. So as long as that's set to sneaking 3, 2, or 1, whatever one you need, get will grab 0 or 1 from this wire, and you can use that to turn on anything you want with a switch or what have you. So that's the sneak chip tutorial. I hope y'all enjoyed that. You gotta admit, it's a great function. I mean, this is I guess it's some hefty setup when you really look at it all together. But I did set up 3 puppets, mind you. And as you can see, your zoom and your slow down and your pose works exactly as you want it with each style of puppet. You can use it with your own custom puppets. As long as you wire up everything the way I've showed you here, you're golden. You'll be running, you'll be pressing your button. It doesn't even have to be L3, right? All you have to do, now that we have all this stuff set up, you just open one of your puppets. See the orange one? I just take another button. Shoot, it could be triangle, but say I wanted it to be, the touchpad button. That's a neat thing to do, right? I think you can do that. Yeah, here it is. See the touchpad button? It's on the second page here in the controller sensor. Bam. Follow the wire from L3. And see, yeah, it's set up nicely. This is an input button, so even if input port, so even if there's no wires going in, you get that port right there that you can access. It's hooking it up to this purple thing that we've already done a million times. But see, touchpad, X, hook it straight to that, and then you see when you open the sneak chip, it has hooked it to the purple thing inside of it. And that's how it works. So now, when we possess the other guys, they're still L3, right? See? And you get your beautiful zoom, slow down, and pose sneak effect. You get out of there with circle. And this guy, he's still L3. You get your beautiful slow down, zoom, and pose sneak function. You get out of him with circle, but when you go to that orange guy, L3 ain't cutting it anymore, Jack. You gotta use the touchpad button. Behold. See? You press that, and that's how you get your sneak now. Because that's what you told it you wanted. And that's it. That's how you do it. That is how you get your sneak working. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Please use this in your dreams. Scrub through this video as much as you need. I think that this chip was absolutely essential, and that's why I made it. I know that once you get the hang of this, you're going to be using this in all of your games. It's such a quick shortcut to, shortcut alternative to having to set all this stuff up by hand each and every time, right? So, have a good, have a good dream with this sneak chip. Again, you just go to your menu with square, you go to the magnifying glass, hit X there, and when you search for it, SNEAK CHIP, sneak chip R2, and here it is. It is light blue, teal, can't miss it, sneak chip 1.4. Use it as much as you desire. I would love to see lots of games with this. I haven't seen any with this, and it's driving me nuts, so this is the full comprehensive tutorial. Please use this sneak chip. Love you guys. Have a good game. Have a good dream. I will see you next time. And hopefully I'll see your games with this sneak chip in it. Peace, y'all.